This week on Politically Unhinged, I deep dive into what the left and the right are saying about the hate crime that happened in Nashville, Tennessee. And Joe Biden actually says something that's actually true? Yeah, I know, there's a first for everything. I'm Anthony Rader, and this is Politically Unhinged. Alright, that's right. So I am doing something completely different this week. So if you want to get the full experience, you are going to have to watch this podcast, audio listener. So, as everyone knows, there was a hate crime. Because that's what it is. It was a hate crime. There's a hate crime that happened in Nashville, Tennessee. And the left and the right have different viewpoints on it, as always. You know, one wants to go ahead and take away your freedoms. And one's going all like, hey, let's actually talk about the reason why this actually happened. Alright, let's actually watch a video of a congressman actually saying that.
AR-15s.
Why not talk about the real issue facing this country in regards to this shooting, which would be mental health?
Hello, darkness, my old...
That was glorious. Yeah, as you can see, the left, as always, is going after and saying, oh yeah, in reaction to this, we need to ban stuff. We need to go ahead and ban your guns. Now, there is actually a leftist on TikTok, I know, it's a great surprise, a lefty on TikTok that is going ahead and saying, oh, how could you? How could you say that it is a woman? How could you say that they aren't taking away the transgender rights? Well, that's because there is no right to be transgender. Being transgender means that you have gender dysphoria, which is a mental disorder. And we are supposed to ignore this to validate your feelings? I don't believe that. I don't believe in validating anyone's feelings. I don't think anyone should be validating feelings right now. So, let's take a watch to this next TikTok where someone said that we are taking away their rights.
Can we just talk about how ironic it is that the people who are screaming masks go against American freedom are the same people who are trying to take away the rights of the LGBT community?
Well, I'm a conservative and I happen to disagree. You are right on one thing though. The same people that are trying to take away rights when it comes to the mask situation are the same people that are trying to take away rights when it comes to the transgender situation. Allow me to demonstrate. Yeah, I would like for you to wear a mask in front of me. Look, you have every right to wear a mask if you want to, just as I have every right not to. I'm not trying to take away your right to wear a mask, so stop trying to take away my right not to wear a mask. I want you to address me as she, her. Look, you have every right to identify how you want to, just as I have every right to identify you the way that I want to. I'm not trying to stop you from identifying the way that you want to, so stop trying to force me to identify you the way that you want me to. As you can clearly see, only one side is trying to force the other to do certain things. You are not fighting for rights, you're fighting for privileges. And the way that you do that is by taking away other people's rights.
That creator was 100% correct. They are taking away your rights. Actually, they're not even fighting for rights. They're fighting for privileges. Just like that creator said, they're fighting for privileges. Their privilege is to be, well, I think I'm a woman when I am a man, so you should be calling me she, her. No. No. Just no. If anything, I am still going to call you a man. Because that's what you are. You are a man. And yes, you can get mad at me for that. I don't care. That's because you are a man, and you will always be a man. You cannot change DNA. If a woman says she's a man, she's still a woman. Not sure if y'all heard about this, but there is a thing called seahorse dads now. And it's a bunch of women who think they are men having kids. Yeah, there's something really, really wrong with that. But yeah, so like that person in that video was 100% correct. Only one side is fighting to take away things. And I wonder what side that is. Are we seeing the Republicans going out and trying to take your rights away actively? No. No. Every single time that there is something going on, the left likes to go ahead and be reactionary. They think with their emotions. They're too emotional. They do not think logically. Also, they just don't give a shit about your fundamental rights. They claim that they do. Joe Biden said that, the Second Amendment isn't absolute, when it is absolute. But what are we going to do? Are we going to argue with someone that doesn't even know how to finish a sentence? You know what? Actually, he did finish a sentence. And I think this sentence was 100% correct. I would like to thank the New York Post for this gem.
And by the way, I'm not. I may be a white boy, but I'm not stupid.
Ah, yes, Joe Biden. You may be a white boy, but you are in fact stupid. Congratulations for completing a sentence, though. I mean, at least you didn't talk about ice cream for the longest time. Oh, wait. You did that the other day. You opened up with a joke about ice cream. Huh. Anyway, congratulations to Joe Biden for finishing a sentence. I think we should be giving him the Nobel Prize for that. I mean, we all know how hard it is. I mean, he has the mental capacity of a 3-year-old. But what do we know, right? Are we really supposed to be taking the outlook right here and going like, yes, everything is fine? No, we're not. It's not fine. We can't be believing that. All right. So one person that's trying to bring up an argument about you not having these things called assault rifles is this one person on TikTok. From what it looks like, he was in the military. You know what? He was in the military. He was. And he clearly doesn't understand what he's actually talking about. Let's take a watch.
Yeah, there is such a thing as an assault rifle, and I should know because I not only carried one, I qualified with it several times. So...
Dude, there is no such thing as an assault rifle. I grew up around guns on the border of Arizona and Mexico. There's no such thing. An assault is literally an action. It's a verb.
So, a rifle is considered an assault rifle when it has all of the features and characteristics that the military finds advantageous for, are you ready for this? Military assaults. Because that's a real thing that the military does, is they assault things.
So, is everything that the military use an assault rifle then? So, there's these things called attachments. Does that mean there's stuff for it as well? Huh. So, alright, you know what? We're going to keep on losing brain cells listening to this guy. Let's keep on going.
They assault things like fortified positions and the enemy. They conduct military assaults. So that's a real thing. And they want a rifle that is useful for conducting military assaults. Hence, assault rifle.
Again, it is not real. Assault, like you said, is a verb. And you're going to say, oh, your AR-15 is an assault rifle? AR-15 doesn't even stand for assault rifle. Alright, like, why are we trying to argue with people that don't understand the meaning of anything when it comes to guns? Alright, so I'm going to tell this guy right now. Alright, sir, do you know what AR stands for? I'm going to assume that you don't. You're going to go ahead and tell me that AR-15 stands for Assault Rifle 15 when it does not, when it stands for Armalite Rifle? Well, what do I know? I mean, I'm just someone that grew up around gun culture with a bunch of people in the Army and being a descendant of Marines. Let's keep on going.
Because it has all the features and characteristics that are useful to the military for conducting military assaults. Features like interchangeable magazine, high rate of fire, being able to fire as fast as you can pull the trigger, high muzzle velocity, high magazine capacity. All those features that make it easy for a person wielding the rifle to kill as many targets as possible in the shortest amount of time possible. That's what...
In other words, every single rifle is an assault rifle. If it can have a lot of bullets in the magazine, then I guess it's an assault rifle.
That's what an assault rifle is. I know because I carried one. And anybody who thinks that that's not an assault rifle, you're deluding yourself.
You're deluding yourself because you think that's an assault rifle. You do not know the fundamentals. I'm sorry. Look, I can tell that you are a Marine, but I'm sorry. You are wrong. You are 100% wrong. Assault rifle, that is such a broad term. Assault rifle can literally be, I don't know, anything like you just said there. Besides a musket. Weird.
Because that's what it is. That is exactly what it was designed for. The Armalite rifle was originally designed from military contract to be provided to the military to conduct military operations and military assaults. And so...
Yes, it was. But better things came. Like your MS-16s. And guess what? The AR-15 that civilians have aren't exactly the ones that the military had. Oh my god. You mean... Yeah. Alright, let's keep on going.
And so it included all the features that the military were going to find advantageous in order to conduct military assaults. That's why it's an assault rifle. And no civilian, no regular civilian, needs to have access or the ability to carry a weapon of war. It belongs in war, and that's where it should stay.
It's a weapon of war. Well, in that case, a shotgun's a weapon of war. A pistol is a weapon of war. A knife is a weapon of war. Guess you can't have any of those. They're a weapon of war. Don't you know that? It's a weapon of war. You cannot be having any of this. I mean, it's a weapon of war, so too bad. You cannot be cutting your steak with that knife. This guy just looks like that he just has Brussels sprouts and freaking grass for dinner every single day. He looks like that he has very low testosterone and he drinks soy milk. He's got bitch tits, let's be honest. He looks like Drew Carey's retarded brother. Oh my god. Ugh. This guy's head's so big that he could be the freaking Jedi Master in freaking Star Wars. You know what? I'll actually put up a side-by-side with that. Yeah, so, like, this guy, like, obviously doesn't know what he's talking about. I mean, weapons of war. Don't you know you're not supposed to have that? Don't you know that? I mean, how could you want a weapon of war? It's too bad. Yeah, give me a break. Just shut up. You do not know what you're talking about. And I'm not going to say in all due respect. Because it's not. If you say that civilians shouldn't be having weapons of war, then we should literally be getting rid of everything. Guess what? Clothes could be weapons of war. Guess we should all be running around naked, right? Oh, shoot, our hands can be weapons of war. Better cut them off. This is how ridiculous it is with these people. Are we seriously going to listen to these people? We shouldn't. These people are clinically insane. These people are terrible. They are terrified that gun-owning, law-abiding citizens will keep on doing the right thing and would potentially rise up to tyranny that is going to happen. Guy like this, well, I do not have any respect for him. I feel like he was using a voice modifier for his voice. You want to know what I think he sounds like? I'll do an impression of him, what his voice probably actually is. Okay, so I don't think you need an assault rifle. There's a thing called an assault rifle. You can't have that because it's a weapon of war. Okay. No, you're not allowed to have it. I'm sorry. That's what he sounds like. Let's be honest. That's not his real voice. I think I did his real voice. I think we should overlay that one day. I will go back and I will do his entire shtick in that real voice. I will dub it. I mean, are we seriously going to be listening to the guy that has a bigger forehead than Peyton Manning? I'm not. All right. So this next video comes from Britain. And this is honestly probably the most supportive thing that I've ever heard a Brit ever say.
It is an impossible thing for British people to understand the Second Amendment and why Americans have guns. But let me tell you, Americans would never allow a gas company to break into their homes and mess with things inside their homes. It's not even possible. Americans look at this and just go, they're incredulous. It's not believable that that could happen because Americans are raised with freedom kind of hardwired into them. They're told it's your God-given right. Your freedom is yours and your Second Amendment right is yours to defend your freedoms with. And British people are fed this diet of, mass school shootings and weapons are terrible and Piers Morgan's pant wetting. We mustn't have guns. Guns are a terrible thing. But the thing is, the Second Amendment is what separates America from about every other country on this planet. Because if you break into an American's home, you should plan on not being able to leave that home. It couldn't happen. It wouldn't happen. And it's why the Second Amendment is so important. It's what separates Americans. And right now, there is the greatest citizen militia of all time in America. And I find that to be a very reassuring thing because every time Biden does something stupid, Americans buy another weapon. And that happens quite a lot. So go the Second Amendment. Go America.
I really like that person. I'm actually going to try to reach out to them and get them on the show. They are great. I honestly love that video. Now, you're not going to hear me praise the Brits often. And I don't do that. I don't praise them. at all. Because, I think the laws there are stupid. I think they are really dumb. They're about what California wants at the very minimum. Okay. Now, this next one comes from another TikToker, obviously, like I said, reacting to the left and right on these issues. It was TikTok happens to be a cesspool of leftist agenda and has some conservative stuff. So it's honestly a pretty decent poll. So let's listen to this guy right now.
As expected, in the wake of tragedy, gun control messaging is now being spread everywhere. And I get why it's being pushed. When something happens like what happened in Nashville this week, people want solutions. But there's something particularly nefarious about these solutions being proposed in the wake of tragedy when everybody is emotional. I'm seeing we have a gun problem in the US, so let me provide a quick rebuttal to a lot of those claims. Now, this number may be off a little bit, but we've had 189 shootings at schools around the US since Sandy Hook. Now, these shootings included domestic violence and suicide. 17 of these 189 were active shooter situations. Now, unfortunately, 279 people have died from being shot on school property during or after school hours, but that does include suicides as well as domestic violence disputes. Now, in general, mass shootings account for less than 1% of all firearm deaths in the United States. Now, I'm not showing these figures to make this tragedy seem any less grotesque than what it is, because it's absolutely disgusting. I'm showing these so we can have a perspective based on fact and logic and not emotion. What we all need to realize is that the media selectively chooses tragedy for us to be emotional about and act on, when in reality, tragedy happens around us every single day. If you look at these stats for perspective, just in 2001 and 2010, 2,344 children died in crashes involving alcohol-impaired drivers. Is the media out here saying that we have an alcohol problem in the United States and that these children's deaths were the result of alcohol and not the person who chose to handle it irresponsibly? So this whole effort to blame guns for carrying out an action that was made by a terrible person doesn't make sense to me. And even if it was guns that were the problem, I don't believe in taking away the rights of law-abiding citizens to accommodate criminals. Freedom comes with risk, and we shouldn't be taking away the freedom to defend yourself in order to accommodate a criminal's actions. It's not the gun crisis that we should be talking about in the United States. It's the mental health crisis. And a part of that mental health crisis is that we have an entire population so devoted and enveloped in media that they can't even realize when they're being manipulated.
Now, I do agree with him. There is a mental health crisis in the United States. There's also a validation problem with mental health in the United States, such as validating people's feelings because they say that what they are not. I'm not saying that all trans people are going to become mass shooters. I will repeat that for all you Democrats. I am not saying that all trans people will become mass shooters, because they will not. Okay? But he had a great point. There is a mental health epidemic in this country. Now, Michael Knowles from Daily Wire brought up a really good point. That what was the reason that we weren't having these, a lot of these shootings back then? He said it's because people are doped up a lot more now. They're on these medications. Quite frankly, I can see that. Alright, so, getting back to that previous video, though. So, behind that gentleman, he had this graphic up. And that red line indicated where Republicans repealed the assault weapons ban. And that's what the Democrats are using, is that, it's because of that. Well, no, it's not, alright? So, what happened during that time? Well, the media kept on reporting on things like school shootings. So, we had copycats, quite a bit. There's that. Also, the definition for mass shooting was changed. Like, I'm sorry, it was. So all of these so-called mass shootings that we see now, under the true and real definition of the word, most of them are wiped out. And people are like, oh, well, Scotland did a great thing by getting rid of this stuff when there was a shooting there. Well, did they? Per capita, the crime's up ever since they did that. It's weird that happened. And are we supposed to buy this from the party that says defund the police and get rid of your guns, and says that only police should have guns, but you should be policing your own communities? I don't think we should be buying this from these people. So, that is just my 2 cents of the word. These people are wrong. These people need to understand that there's nothing that they can do to stop God-fearing, God-loving Americans. And this tragedy, this hate crime that person did, is unacceptable. The media is pushing to take away your guns while saying that you need to use the pronouns that they preferred. No. You shouldn't. People are saying that we need to go ahead and recognize this person's pronouns. No. Want to know what I think we should do? I think we need to go back to the drawing board. I think what the Americans should do is get rid of all of these laws that you're not using, especially, well, like, I don't know, all the laws that we have against the Second Amendment. Or, you know what, yeah, let's get rid of those laws. Because, yeah, 100%. All right? And people are like, well, this needs to stop happening. This stuff wouldn't happen if states and governments just enacted the laws that they already have in place. You want to say do something? Do that. You want us to keep on saying do something? Put police in schools. We protect our banks. We protect politicians with guns. We protect our kids with words. And you're saying do something, keep on doing something, and you're like, we need to get rid of guns? Well, most schools are gun-free zones. You're going to continue saying just do something? I don't believe it. I don't think that that's what we need to do. What we need to do is protect our children, and protecting our children, it's not going to start at banning all guns, because if we ban all guns, the only people that are going to have them are the criminals. And we don't want that. We got to understand that as people of the greatest country on earth, you're saying that you're afraid to send your kid to school? Tell me, are you afraid when you were a kid? Were you afraid when a cop came up to you when you were little with a gun? Were you afraid? Were you afraid when anything happened to you and there was an actual adult that was trained to use these things? Were you afraid? You probably felt a lot safer, didn't you? We have to understand that guns are not the problem. People are the problem. Guns don't kill. People do. We need to stop drawing these lines and saying Guns are the reason. Here's the thing, though. People have killed people for the longest time. Different ways. Saying get rid of all guns, the next will be get rid of all knives. Be just like England. They may not have school shootings, but they have school stabbings. But we don't hear about that. We don't hear about any of that. So, I want to tell you this. We need to fight back. We have taken so many steps backwards for the Second Amendment. We kept on conceding. We need to fight back. Take that ground back. Charge it. Because the Second Amendment, unlike what Joe Biden says, is an absolute. And we are the strongest, God-fearing, God-loving people ever to walk the earth. All right. On that note, it is time to read our quote. This comes from the greatest wrestler of all time, Den Gable. Den Gable got the Presidential Medal of Freedom under Trump. Pain is nothing compared to what it feels like to quit. Give everything you got today, for tomorrow may never come. Dan Gable. All right. Thank you, and God bless.